Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Nine Frames podcast. It is episode 44, and it's Wednesday, November 1st, 2023. Two more games of the World Series have gone by.
Yeah, and the World Series is shifting back to Phoenix, split at 1-1. It's anybody's World Series as of right now.
Yeah, playing for their lives, playing for the trophy, and we are going to get into the breakdown of Game 3 and 4 here and set you up for a Game 5 that is necessary no matter what.
Game 3 of the World Series is set to begin on Monday in Arizona after the first two were in Texas, and it would feature the first ballot Hall of Famer, in my opinion, Max Scherzer, taking on rookie Brandon Pfaadt, who's been absolutely fantastic for the D-backs up until this point in the postseason.
Yeah, a little Monday Night Baseball, and we were saying that the first ballot Hall of Famer is looking to get back on track while Brandon Pfaadt, the rookie, is feeling super confident right now.
Yeah, both starting pitchers looked great in the beginning of the game through the first two innings. They didn't really allow much at all. But the Rangers would get to Brandon Pfaadt in the third inning. Marcus Semien, he's finally starting to look like he's turning the corner here in this World Series, and the Rangers desperately need him to. He would get the scoring going early in the third inning with an RBI single, followed by a two-run Corey Seager home run, his fifth of the postseason, to go up 3-0 in the third inning.
Yeah, clutch hit late in the inning there to keep it alive, and they do so. Getting earlier runs has been an absolute formula for winning. 4 years in baseball now.
Corey Seager continues to climb the ranks for home runs by a shortstop in the postseason. I think he's only a couple behind Derek Jeter now. I think he's at 18 or 19, and Jeter's at 20.
Good call on World Series MVP. The guy has just been absolutely lights out since the playoffs started, and really this World Series.
Yeah.
I know he had a tough CS, but that's just it.
Yeah, but if you look at his numbers total for the postseason, it shows that he's been hitting the whole time, and that's why they spent $325 million on the guy.
We've been saying worth every penny. His name is all over these breakdowns.
Yeah, he signed there just a couple of years ago, and they've gone from a 100-loss team to being in the World Series.
He goes ahead and gives them a 3-0 lead early in the game, third inning.
Max would come out for his third inning of work, seeking a shutdown inning after the Rangers just put up 3 for him. And he would get that shutdown inning, but unfortunately, this would be the end of the road for him in this World Series, as he gets removed from the game due to a finger injury, and he's also been replaced on the roster since. That would finish his line for the game. He was looking a little bit better, too. He goes 3 innings, only allowing 2 hits, no runs, 2 walks, and a strikeout. So he was looking better, but he gets bit by another injury late in the season.
I was going to say super disappointing because we said, coming into the shutdown inning, I was saying he really needed to have a shutdown. He was really grasping at straws trying to find shutdown innings this postseason. Every time his team scores, he's been giving it back. Not this time, but he has that. It was, I guess, a blister, more of a skin cut. I don't really know.
It looked pretty gnarly. His skin was just kind of ripping off from throwing the ball. There's really nothing you can do about an injury like that, which is the most unfortunate thing.
No.
Blisters, scabs ripping. There's nothing you could do. They've been playing since March.
Had to be painful, and he looked super frustrated. He didn't look quite like himself. Like we said, he did give up 4 base runners in 3 innings, but he was working his way out, and he got only 1 K in those 3 innings. It was solid work, and at that point, the team had the lead, obviously.
More so, it was better to see him be able to keep runs off the board, whereas in his earlier 2 starts, he would allow runs very early in the game, and his team would be behind trying to fight.
Yeah, this really is his first positive contribution to this postseason run.
The hero of Game 1, John Gray, who came out of the pen when Eovaldi struggled, would take over for Max, and he fired 3 one-hit scoreless innings again. And the rest of Texas's bullpen would shut it down after him.
Super impressive. We came into this game thinking John Gray might start Game 4.
He was announced as the Game 4 starter.
I was going to say, it seemed like he really was going to start Game 4, but after that 3-inning outing where Scherzer gets pulled for the finger blister, like I said coming into this series, I think the depth of the Rangers starting pitching is huge. They have 6 guys you could toss out there for a start, and Arizona's only got 3. That is a big discrepancy when you come to postseason baseball, man.
It's a problem that we're starting to see at the very end right now for the D-backs.
Rangers take advantage right here. John Gray looks great.
Definitely. Bruce Bochy pushing all the right buttons, calling him out of the pen 2 times, and I think he's gone 7 scoreless innings for them. I mean, he's been fantastic in 2 out of the 3 games that the World Series has been played yet.
Another deal worth every penny.
Yeah, oh yeah, and it's nice to see for a guy like John Gray who struggled here and there in Colorado because of
Colorado rep.
Yeah. And then he signs a contract to be, at the time, I don't know if you remember, he was supposed to be like their ace because they didn't have much more at the time. That's how scarce it was. And he was a part of those. I think he was a part of the 100-loss team 2 years ago, and he's proving that he belongs on this team. And he's also dealt with injuries, so it's nice to see him battle through the injuries and the adversity, and just now he's doing his job.
Dealing with injuries just recently, too. Shout out John Gray.
Yeah, he only joined them on the ALCS roster, so yeah, doing his job. The lone exception for the Rangers bullpen shutting it down completely came in the 8th inning with Chapman on the bump as Perdomo singles in Rivera to cut it to 3-1. That's how the score would settle as Leclerc would come in and just he reverted back to his absolute dominant self for his 4th save of the postseason, and more importantly, he locks down a 3-1 win and gives Texas a 2-1 lead in the World Series, taking another road game, the first one for them in this World Series, which is now 9 in a row for them on the road.
Yeah, that was a while without us talking about a run being scored. The game was 3-0 for what felt like an eternity. Finally, Arizona gets one, and that's all they get. Leclerc reverting back, like you said. He had a rough start to this series in Game 1, but he is not keeping that as a trend. He comes in this one and just looks like a stud. Texas takes that 2-1 lead. Absolutely huge. The best road team in postseason history.
Yeah, they're having an insane run as it sits right now, and Texas now just sits 2 wins away from their first championship in franchise history. Arizona needs to wake up before it's too late.
Oh, big time, man. Especially the bats. You only get 1 run in this one. And, I mean, Scherzer comes out in the 3rd inning. You got to get to him, and they don't.
The D-backs have shown that they know how to answer, and they can fight through the adversity as well. Game 4 would prove to be a very stressful game for them, as it's a bullpen game as well. How did it go?
Yeah, we call them the answerbacks for a reason. Are they able to do that? We will see. Pick it right up in Game 4 Tuesday night. This was a weird game for sure. A lot of earlier runs and then a lot of late runs, nothing in between.
Yeah, it was pretty weird, and I think the story of the game was the early runs and an insurmountable lead.
Yeah, both of these teams stuck with the postseason strategy we've seen so far. Game 4 goes to Andrew Heaney and Joe Mantiply for Arizona. And this is the matchup that we said was going to be on the bats.
Oh, yeah, you definitely said that for sure. You said that you had the feeling that this was going to be the offensive explosion of a game, and you were right.
Yeah, no, it was just that, and it kicked off explosively. Josh Young kicked it off Mantiply, top second with a leadoff double, and Mantiply K'd Nathaniel Lowe here. Then he gets pulled.
My question was, I thought he was only going to get the first inning and get pulled. I was surprised to even see him go out for a second inning. I think in the NLCS when he started, he had only the first inning and then he didn't go back out.
After you give up that leadoff double, though, to then get a strikeout, be feeling good, and they move over to Miguel Castro, it's a weird move for sure.
Yeah, definitely. After he has his confidence shaken a little, then he brings it back up with that big K. To not let him try to finish, I understand he's just a mid-reliever, so he's not really supposed to be a multiple-inning guy, but if you're going to send him out there, you should have a little bit of faith in him, no?
A little bit. Probably a couple outs of a leash there I would have given him.
The score was still 0-0 at the time, so, like...
Not for long, as Miguel Castro ends up getting a ground out by Jonah Heim that moves Josh Young to third, and then a wild pitch scores the first run of this game.
And that makes it look even worse as Castro, who's known for being a little bit wild from time to time, comes in and just gives a free run away in the World Series, man. That's always tough.
Yeah, and you want to talk about clutch hitting, man. There's 2 outs now and nobody on base. We get a Leody Taveras walk, Janikowski single, Marcus Semien, 2 RBI triple, and then a Corey Seager, absolutely clutch, true run homer.
Just keeps going.
6 of the postseason, and really big, his 2nd of the World Series, having a phenomenal
I think
series.
it's his 3rd of the World Series.
3rd of the World Series, 6 of the postseason, which is just crazy to do. play when it matters, and he is doing exactly that. 5-0 fast for Texas, and Arizona's reeling in their own park.
Yeah, the toughest part about that wild pitch that got the first run in is that run is charged to Joe Mantiply, and he didn't even give it up.
No,
Nobody gave it up. It was a wild pitch, which is really, really unfortunate.
Yeah, Castro known for his high velocity and a bit erratic stuff.
Yeah, and Texas would definitely use that mistake by Castro. I feel like they sensed he was a bit shaken up after that wild pitch, and they jumped all over him.
Mm-hmm. And Texas staying completely hot on the road, just melting Chase Field at this point.
It's unbelievable. I don't think we haven't ever seen a postseason road run. Well, we couldn't because the postseason structure now has the opportunity for them to play more road games. Mm-hmm. But, they look like world beaters on the road. They just can't lose.
No, not at all. And the very next inning, the third inning at this point, and Sebastian Janikowski with another 2 RBI double this time.
Travis Jankowski.
Oh, Travis. Yeah, excuse me. Travis. I don't know why I said that.
Football player, the kicker?
No, that was a weird one. My fault, yeah. Travis Jankowski, 2 RBI double, and then Marcus Semien gets a 3-run homer, his first of the postseason. So now he has a triple and a home run in this game, and it makes it 10-0, man.
Yeah, once you see the double digits on the board with a 0 next to you, the crowd's completely out of it at that point. The ball players got to feel deflated because you've worked so hard to get here, and it's just you look up and you see a 10-run deficit. It's tough, but I give credit to the D-backs. They did not quit.
No, they didn't quit. We've talked about how statistically rare it is to come back from that in any MLB game.
I think it's borderline impossible.
Basically, and this is the World Series, so this one hurts.
Especially it being already 3 innings into the game. You already cut out a quarter or a third of the game, and you're down 10. What are you supposed to do?
Yeah, they end up responding with a sac fly by Lourdes Gurriel to make it 10-1, and that'll end Heaney's day. He goes 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, 2 walks, 3 Ks, and 1 run, as Texas turns to Dane Dunning. We said they probably would.
And Texas will absolutely take what they got from Andrew Heaney every day of the week. And then to be able to turn it over to Dunning, who did his thing, it really worked out perfectly for the Rangers up until later.
Yeah, later on, we take you to late in the game. Jonah Heim pads the lead with a solo homer, his third of the postseason in the 8th inning, and that's 11-1 Texas. So Arizona, to this point, having a really poor showing.
I might be wrong, but I believe I heard Joe Davis say that was Heim's first hit of the World Series, and it was a home run. So nice to see him get off the schneid a little bit.
Yeah, waking up in the World Series, he's been contributing throughout the postseason, so it's good to see him do that in the biggest series of them all.
Yeah, and he's a dog behind the plate, man. He catches every day. It feels like he's caught for like the last 100 games in a row. The guy never sits down.
Very true, and now it's 11-1 Texas in the 8th. So through 7 innings of Arizona hitting, it's 11-1. I know that they fought back late, which we are going to touch on right now, but the game as a whole really wasn't great.
No, it was all Texas because of the 2 5 spots in the 2nd and 3rd inning. It was just an uphill battle from Arizona from there on out, and they just never really got it back.
Yeah, game gets a bit interesting here as the Texas combo of Brock Burke, who is replacing Max Scherzer, Chris Stratton, and Will Smith has a collective meltdown in the 8 and 9.
Oh, I forgot to mention for Game 3, Adolis Garcia, who was the ALCS MVP, took a swing late in that game, and he pulled his oblique or something, and he also had to be replaced, which is why Travis Jankowski was in the lineup. He is the replacement for Garcia in this World Series, as Burke is for Scherzer.
And it seems like Garcia probably won't be able to make it back.
No, he's off the roster.
Okay, so
they're both done for the World Series. Mm-hmm. They can't come back now.
Yeah, so Texas's offense comes out and puts 11 up in their first game without their ALCS MVP. Super impressive.
Yeah, and Travis Jankowski was really good in this game. He goes 2 for 4 with 2 runs scored and 2 RBI, so he filled in nicely for the ALCS MVP, who just had a historical postseason regardless of him playing another game.
Yeah, really nice to be able to see Travis produce for a team that could get a ring very shortly.
I always liked him on the Mets, man. Jankowski plays hard. He's fast. He plays good defense. He's got good contact. He's a good ball player, and he's the kind of ball player a team could really use in a run toward the World Series and potentially winning a championship because he could fill in.
As a Met fan, I clearly remember his quote He had a big moment for the Mets early on in the season, and they asked him about it after the game. He said, I don't expect to look at the stands and see a lot of my jerseys out there, but I know what I contribute to this team plays a big role in their success. And that's the type of player he is.
Yeah, he did it last night. He did his thing. He filled in for a guy that we thought couldn't really be replaced, and he did his best job to replace him.
Big shout out to Jankowski. Been around the league for a while now, and he's getting his flowers on the biggest stage of them all. Arizona ends up getting one in the 8th here off a Pham sac fly, and then a Lourdes Gurriel gets a 2-out 3-run homer.
He got all of it.
Third of the postseason, that makes it 11-5 Texas. That's still a decent lead.
Yeah, I mean, they're still
not sweating.
No, they're up by 6 runs still, with only 4 or 5 outs to get. You said there was 2 outs in the 8th, so they only need 4 outs to get up 6 runs. They're feeling great.
Yep, Arizona keeps the pressure on Will Smith at this point, and Gabriel Moreno gets an RBI single. He scores Jordan Lawler and Geraldo Perdomo. That is 11-7 Texas in a game that seemed decided, or devoid of pressure, excuse me. Like, no pressure in this game. Now it's 11-7. It's a 4-run game. Pressure is here.
Yeah, but the clock was ticking and outs were running out for the D-backs, and the Rangers knew that. They were just trying to piece together the final 3 or 4 outs, and they did it.
Really disappointing to have to do so, but Bruce Bochy does turn to his closing pitcher, Jose Leclerc, for 1 out here.
Yeah.
A high-pressure out that he didn't need to get.
Yeah, you never want to see that, but I mean, they're in a very good position in this World Series, so I understand why he brought him out, because he wanted to make sure. He didn't want to play around with potentially blowing a 10-0 lead. So he cut the bullshit. He brought out the big guns, and he finished the game off.
Best way you can say it is this was cutting the bullshit. Leclerc does give up a sharp single to Gabriel Moreno, but then he gets Nathaniel Lowe to pop up to first base, and Texas wins 11-7. They are up 3-1 in the World Series.
The stats are on Texas's side now, because if you look, I think it's like an 85% chance or something like that if you're up 3-1. I don't know what the exact number was, but the numbers are pretty good in the favor of the team leading 3-1, as you'd expect, needing just 1 win out of the next 3 games with they're going back to the top now, so...
Not to mention, that's when you consider it every team being equal. This is Texas Rangers, 2023 Texas Rangers, on the road.
Yeah.
It'll be a rough task.
This will be their last road game of the year confirmed, and they could wrap it up.
And not for nothing, when you look at that ALCS, it could be huge here. I mean, honestly, the NLCS as well, but the other way around. Where you play does matter, and if they have to go back home for 2 games, I mean, the pressure's on more so than if they finish it here tonight.
Yeah, this is obviously a must-win for Arizona, because the series could end, but, I mean, if they win tonight, they could swing momentum, like you're saying. They're going to be looking to their ace, Zach Gallen, man. He needs to have a very good start, because Kelly would be after him, and we've seen how good he's been.
Yep. And one more win for the Texas Rangers gets them their first championship in franchise history.
Pretty incredible, man, that we're even saying that. I want to just say that if this is the end of the road for the Diamondbacks, this is nothing to be ashamed of, man. Nobody thought you guys were going to be here. I'm honestly very impressed. I think they're ahead of schedule. They got a really nice young core, and I'm glad that the national stage was able to see guys like Ketel Marte and Corbin Carroll and Gabby Moreno and Gurriel.
Yeah. It's nice that these guys stepped up in this situation, because God forbid that they didn't, and it's another trying to make a joke of the Diamondbacks. No longer, man. Yeah,
we were talking about how people weren't really interested in this kind of World Series, but for the people who are watching this, it's really nice to see exposure for not even just the D-backs, for the Rangers side of things too.
Very true.
I mean, people know Corey Seager. They don't know Jonah Heim. They don't know Leody Taveras. They don't know barely anybody knows Evan Carter.
Certainly they should.
And Evan Carter's made a name for himself, and now he's going to have high expectations for next year, higher than they already were, because he was a top prospect. But now he's shown that he's hitting in the postseason, and now the World Series. He's going to have a lot more pressure next year And it's because of how damn good he's been in this postseason.
Very true.
Congratulations to
It's going
them.
to be about proving that those players belong and that the Rangers belonged here. Same with the D-backs. As we look forward to next season, they're going to be proving that they should be their league champions, respectively.
Pretty crazy to think about how on the next episode we could be talking about a World Series champion.
Very true.
This is the first potential clinching game tonight.
And Game 5 takes us back to the Game 1 matchup. It is Nate Eovaldi versus Zach Gallen. You think Arizona can live to fight another day?
I think if they're able to win this game, I think we got a decent chance of getting it to 7 because Merrill Kelly looked really good against the Rangers in Texas, and that's where he's going to be pitching again. So he's already done it once. Why couldn't he do it again?
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough one for me. Nate's been pretty untouchable so far in the postseason.
They touched him.
I know they got to him a bit.
They got him for
time.
5.
They only won that game in extra innings. So
yeah,
and Zach Gallen still didn't pitch well.
That's
so
what I'm saying. They need Gallen to step up.
The odds aren't greatly in their favor. With the Rangers being on the road as well. It kind of all stacks up for the Rangers being the favorites for this game. So Zach Gallen's going to have to defend the field, defend the pool.
10-0 on the road in the postseason, man. Just think about that. Like they play 81 road games on the season in the regular season. They've won 10 games on the road in the postseason. If there's anything that we could say, it's that the Rangers have earned the position that they're in. And if this is the end, man, it's going to be a real feel-good story for them to go from dumpster to champions in 2 years.
Very true. That was going to happen regardless of which team out of these two won.
This is number 1, though, in the franchise history. This is like a monumental time for them.
Huge. And if Arizona can survive, Game 6 would be Friday night back in Texas. We would discuss that on Friday's episode, of course. But it looks to be
Montgomery versus
Kelly in a rematch of Game 2 there.
The interesting thing would be if it happens to go 7, we know Fott would be going. So you're sending a rookie Fott out there for Game 7
against not Max Scherzer.
It'll probably be John Gray if they don't use him the next 2 days.
It would probably be John Gray, which would be crazy because that'd be his first start of the postseason. So.
But we don't know because they might use him out of the bullpen tonight or Game 6 if necessary.
At that point, you would probably turn to Dunning,
Heaney again.
Dunning only pitched an inning out of the pen, while Heaney went 5. So on short rest, I don't know what you would do. Maybe the other way around.
If it's Game 7, everybody's available.
Yeah, a bit of a toss up on that one, but that is in the future, and that takes a lot of fighting from the D-backs for us to even discuss.
Yeah, definitely. But that would be the last game of the year. I wouldn't be surprised to see Kelly, who pitched the night before, come out again because you ain't pitching for 6 months, 4 or 5 months for pitchers to report. So everybody's got to go.
Everybody should, definitely.
They got to get there, though.
Lock in tonight, folks. Game 5 will be on Fox at 8 p.m. And when we speak to you next, we may be talking about our 2023 champion Texas Rangers, or we might be talking about moving to Game 6 and potentially 7 in Texas. Who knows?
Will the champagne be out in the locker room tonight, or will it have to remain on ice for just a little bit longer?
And then just to close out, I wanted your thoughts on this World Series so far, because I personally think the Rangers have definitely looked like the better team throughout. I know Arizona got that one win. It came late in the game.
Tough.
Yeah, Texas has really outclassed them in terms of playing baseball, and that's not a hit on Arizona or anything. That's just how good this Texas team really is.
It's tough because we could be looking at the series so much differently if the D-backs just didn't blow that Game 1 to Seager in the 9th inning and then Garcia in the 11th. They could have been up 2-0 coming home.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be 2-2 right now, even losing both of those games.
Yeah,
and this would be the swing game. Blowing that first game really, really killed a lot of momentum. I know they won that second game, but the Road Warriors have just continued to do what they do, and they're 10-0 now. And if they go 11-0 and finish the postseason without losing a road game, man, all we can say is they earned it. They deserve it.
So impressive. So Arizona looks to keep their season alive tonight, and Texas looks to win their first franchise World Series. Thank you to everybody for watching and listening, liking and subscribing and following wherever you do. That was episode 44. of the 9 Frames podcast, and this is Wednesday, November 1st, 2023. I've been Bill Whalen.
And I've been Mike Whalen.
Be sure to catch us on YouTube at 9 Frames Podcast. Our Spotify is 9 Frames, and our X is at 9 Frames Pod. Please like and subscribe, and keep locking in as we cover the World Series here and move on to the offseason, which is a really fun time in baseball every year.
Yeah, we appreciate the constant support as usual, and after this World Series ends, we're going to be able to talk about awards, Gold Gloves, all the good stuff, Silver Sluggers, off-season moves. We already got a little bit of movement as Melvin goes to the Giants from the Padres.
And then Penn Murphy takes a trip to the Mets, the relief pitcher from the Mariners. So moves are happening already, and we're going to lock in on some big ones.
We got some slight movement already, as you just said, and it's going to be a good offseason, I think.
We're going to have one of the most fun things to cover possible in the Ohtani free agency sweepstakes. So this should be really fun.
But before we get ahead of ourselves and get to the offseason, one of these teams still has a World Series to win, and Texas has the chance to do it tonight. We'll see if they do.
Who will hoist that trophy? Will it be the Texas Rangers, who are up 3-1 in the World Series, or will the Arizona Diamondbacks fight back and win in 7 for their second in franchise history? We shall see.
We'll see you guys on Friday.